but I think it's about making customers' lives easier. And if you as a consumer can get information that's useful and helpful at the time you need it to make a good decision, I mean, you're winning. Marketing's winning. Like that's like you're going to call that company and be thankful that they came at you and provided you what you needed when you needed it.
Welcome to the Marketing Report, a podcast created for and by marketing professionals who seek to better understand their consumers and design unique, personalized experiences that stand out in today's market. In each episode, hosts from Verisk Marketing Solutions connect you to industry thought leaders, practitioners, and experts focused on improving B2C experiences through powerful data-driven insights. It's about how we connect with our consumers and where we can partner together to do it better. This is the Marketing Report.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Report podcast. I'm the host, Tim Finnegan, and I lead product marketing for Verisk Marketing Solutions, a business unit of Verisk Analytics, where we specialize in consumer data and insights for marketers. What I typically do is I talk to subject matter experts, thought leaders, where we focus on better understanding the consumer through personalized experiences and data-driven insights. But today, if you're interested in marketing, you've come to the right place. And I have the right guest. He is the host of the Modern Lending podcast, video series called Brightside. He's even authored a book, Bypassed, and he's one of our longstanding customers. I'd like to introduce you to Alec Hanson, the Chief Marketing Officer of the loanDepot. Welcome to the podcast,
right.
Alec.
Thanks, Tim. Can't wait to rap with you today, man. This is fun.
Good. So before we talk marketing and sort of the consumer, why don't you tell everybody what you do at loanDepot as Chief Marketing Officer and sort of maybe your trajectory of getting where you are now. Because if I remember correctly, you were one of the first employees at loanDepot. You almost started from the very beginning. So tell everyone your little story.
Yeah, I've been here a long time, and I was definitely been in sales before marketing. I was in sales for 22 years in the lending industry. And I always describe sales and marketing as two sides of the same coin, but interestingly enough, I think they're blending more and more into this new thing that we got to figure out what to call. But the intersection there is fascinating. I joke that I became the chief marketing officer because I put videos on the internet. And the reason that that's tongue in cheek and kindly true, in the last 6 years, I realized that localized sales professionals, like mortgage professionals that like I was, their business model was being challenged by the modern consumer, the digital consumer. I kind of qualify it like we're in the internet first era, where instead of going to our parents or friends and family for like referrals or education, we stare at these little screens in our hands and we self-educate and we have a whole new experience happening. And so as that world has been collapsing on us and we've been adapting to it, I realized that my skill set in quote digital marketing or marketing was ill-equipped to be the best coach and leader I could be. And so 6 years ago, I got really focused on figuring out how to play in that space. And I always consider myself more of a practitioner than a guru. And so it's kind of like the streets, taught me the ways. And so, fast forward 6 years, I was leaning more and more into contributing at a mass marketing level for the company, and just to get tapped by my CEO and our executives to consider taking the CMO position, which was wild. It was not on my radar. In my opinion, I was a production guy, executive running the Western United States. But obviously, as we'll talk about, I have a huge passion for this space. And then when the opportunity kind of aligned to take it on for the entire organization at loanDepot, I was thrilled to step into it. So, I'm managing our brand, I'm managing our social strategy, our digital strategy. I'm providing the support for our in-market sales professionals. I'm alongside all of our major initiatives from Major League Baseball down to what flyers we need to make to help our salespeople be better. So pretty broad, but I have a killer team. And so, we're making some big inroads. It's been a lot of fun this last year.
So speaking of flyers, I saw the video you did. It was, I think you titled it where, if you're ever wondering what the marketing team at loanDepot does, let me give you a little insight. You did a video and then all of a sudden there's flyers going out and there's people like security guards letting you in. So I can definitely tell you have fun with what you're trying to do to promote it. Is that something that you've always done, like sort of that, not tongue in cheek, but there's a comedy piece to it as well, or is that just natural for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think humanity, sometimes we take ourselves too seriously. Getting a loan is complicated and it's not always fun. Sometimes we have to tell customers that now is not the right time for them. And in their financial situation, they need to repair some things or do some things to get better prepared. And we decline loans. I mean, it's not always a glorious thing. But at the end of the day, we're all humans and we're all here to for a short time. And so, you gotta enjoy the parts of it that are enjoyable and push through and smile a little bit more. And so we try to embody that. Like you can have fun and be serious. You can take your job serious and our responsibilities seriously, but we can also laugh at ourselves and kind of have some lightheartedness. So it's finding the right balance. But yeah, I mean, I think you got to have fun. I mean, who wants to go to work and have it suck every day?
So I sort of have a similar background as you with starting in sales.
Yeah.
And I've told this story before on this podcast, but you'll think it's funny. I was a young sales rep, like we sold media sales. So it was 1 or 2
Yeah.
years. And I go to one of my mentors who I thought was a mentor. And I'm like, Jim, I'm really struggling, you know, selling. Like I'm not getting the deals like I'm supposed to. And I'm waiting for this sage advice. And he looks at me, he's like, Tim, maybe sales isn't for you. I'm like, wow. And
Woo.
but it made me think like, I got to do this, figure it out. Like you were talking about self-educating
Yeah.
or do something else. So I finally figured it out. But when I got into, one of the reasons I got into marketing, I'm like, I'm tired of having a number over my head in sales. But what I found out, it's easier to affect that number in sales than it is in marketing. So
No doubt.
no doubt. So when you think about your job right now, and I've heard you talk about some of the challenges in the marketplace and how you can succeed in 2024. Can you just touch on that and maybe give some advice out there? Like what you're looking to is like sort of how you lead through change and what you need to do to succeed in 2024.
Yeah, and I'll share two perspectives: our national brand and corporate strategy, and then down to our salesperson strategy that we're helping to influence, and then a little bit about leadership. So, I mean, change is inevitable in everything, and I think we all know that as humans. Like I say that, and everyone's like, "Yes, like change is coming, change is happening," and so you can either lead into change and through change, or you can let it happen to you. And so I kind of take that on as a leadership thing, which is like things are always going to happen, and so either we can be the ones happening or we can be the ones responding. And so I like that attitude of ownership and proactivity around change and leadership. And then when you look at where I think the big opportunities are from a localized perception, from an individual sales perception, it's personal brand development and it's digital reach and it's getting exposure and reputation at scale using the modern tools where people are hanging out. So you don't have to look far for studies to show you that everyone's staring at their phones all day. And they're on these social platforms and they're engaging and they're not consuming traditional media in the same ways, and they're evolving their practices. So to me, it's self-evident, as a localized salesperson or professional, you've got to expand your reach digitally. You got to get into these mediums. You got to find your voice. And we teach a lot of that here with platform support, with training, with tools and resources and strategies to get people into these new areas to expand their business. And then from a bigger brand perspective, I think the opportunity is similar. I think consumers are done with just being marketed to and punched in the face and manipulated. And like they're just done, that they're choosing to look on their phones. I mean, social media is my favorite example of this. If they don't like what they're watching, they just swipe. They just move to the next thing.
Mhm.
And so, no longer is the consumer forced to sit there and stare at your commercial. They don't like it, they're gone. And what a great lesson, and what a great opportunity to come at this in a different way. So in that vein, let me give you an example. I think a lot of companies today just absolutely blow it on social media because all of their content is about them. They're posting about their sponsorship, they're posting about the team they sponsor or their award they just got or the quote from their CEO, and every consumer out there is just gagging, saying, none of this, what's relevant here to me? And so a huge opportunity is to say, well, let me tell you what's relevant to you and let me give you the information and let me educate you and maybe entertain you, but let me let me just deliver to you the information of the problems that you're facing today and the solutions we have. And just with that open hand, no gatekeep, don't have to apply, don't have to kind of give us your email so I can spam you. Just here's the information. And now that I've given it to you freely, you can go to one of my competitors and use it. You can do it, but leading and marketing from that position of abundance just absolutely creates a consumer connection that you're not going to get by shoving some ad down their throat or, harassing them over email. And so like those are the opportunities that I think that brands have to step into. And you see some of the great ones doing it. And that's where I think there's a lot of opportunity in mortgage today.
Yeah. And even it's not in our industry, but it's in a little, when I think of brands that are doing it right, I think of Patagonia. When you look on their Instagram feed, they're not trying to sell you a jacket. They're selling you a lifestyle, and they're showing you so you can picture yourself doing what they're doing. And I'm like, wait, I could be a rock climber if I wanted to. Maybe I should go get that. So I totally hear you. So when you talk about the different platforms that you're trying to do different things, and we briefly spoke about this earlier today, you tried something new, and it's called Fridays with Alec and David. Now, this was like the first time you had ever done this. I was one of those people that was like, oh, I'm going to watch this. And you kept on telling people, hey, this is a test. Don't watch us. So give a little more details of what the idea of Alex and David is and what you're trying to accomplish there.
Yeah. So David's our head of military lending. He's a veteran, and we have a huge passion at Loan Depot to serve the veteran community. It has some layers to it. There are companies out there that we believe are not serving veterans appropriately with their marketing and strategies. And then there's opportunity there in education. There's a lot of misinformation in real estate about this product. So for us, we just decided that we're going to start going live to talk about it. We're not going to run ads. We're not going to hit you in the face with flyers. We're just going to have myself and our head of military lending live on every platform: TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X. And we're just going to talk on Fridays about the product, about the solutions around it. And our hope is that we start to create some community there, and that people start asking questions. That's the hope, is that they ask questions. But if they don't ask questions, or they want to just kind of stay back and watch, we're going to be answering questions and talking about this product. And in my opinion, we're right on the edge of testing this. And I think tests are very important. And we don't know what we're going to get. We don't know if people are going to just tune out or hate or jump. But the fact of us going live and being in a position of vulnerability with the people that are watching in a non-scripted environment to tell you the truth about this product and how to use it, I think is highly optimistic. I think people are going to really enjoy it. I think they're going to want to tune in, and they're going to watch the replay, and they're going to get educated. And then, of course, if we can help them, they'll call us. That's the goal, right? They'll be like, hey, I learned something. I need more information. We're the 6th largest lender to veterans in America today. So, we have a little opportunity to get up on that ladder more and serve more. And so we're just going to give them the information they don't have, and we're going to see, and we're doing live. And I think it's going to be an interesting, I don't know anybody mortgage company going live right now and talking about mortgage products. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know many people that businesses are going live. So I think you're going to be sort of groundbreaking. But what I love about it, it's refreshing, right? You are doing something that's just like you had said about educating. You're doing that. We can talk about this more, but I feel like you're being authentic. Like you're backing up what you want to do. You say, hey, we're the 6th largest, loan company that works with veterans.
Yep.
And now we're going to educate. We're not looking to be number one, but what we're doing is we're trying to educate. So could you talk a little bit more about authenticity and what that means to you?
Yeah. We were just touching on it earlier, right? Like, I think the modern consumer is just done with inauthentic marketing. The click here, the trick, give me your email first, the gatekeeping, they're just done with it. I'm done with it. So if I'm done with it, I'm sure there's people like me. So, it's authenticity is hard for brands, though. It's hard for brands because authenticity is really through people. You feel that through people that you talk to. You don't think of Nike and think of authenticity, but we're also in the advice game. We're in the consulting game. We're not just in the click a button, get a mortgage. That's not a thing that exists in the world, although some companies like to pretend that it is. It's not. It's a very complicated process with very personalized solutions for humans that have messy lives. I don't know one human that has come in. I mean, I personally wrote loans for 8 years. None of them were the same. Everyone's human situation was radically different, from their credit behavior to their accounts to how they move money. Like, it's just all a puzzle. And so we're in the consulting game also, along with the service game. And I think that when you go like that, that's where I think that the live stuff is going to be so interesting, because you can't fake it. You have to be there in the streets, live of social media, live with humans. And so you're at your most authentic and vulnerable right there. And I think it's crucial for companies to try to find their voice in this and figure that out. And how do they present as authentic, or else the modern consumer is going to continue to distance themselves.
Right. And then it's a way to differentiate yourselves
Yeah.
too, right? It's like, hey, this is what we do. But you're also just reinforcing this is what we do. And it's almost like when you think of the customer life cycle or the consumer life cycle, these videos and some of this digital online content that you're doing is introducing the brand or the concept of them coming to you. And then they can go to your website. And I know on your website, there's like resources, and you can get better articles about mortgages and things like that. So it's sort of this life cycle.
Well, let me give you another example, Tim. So I've been on a heavy mission to produce a lot of content for people on our social media. And one of the challenges I've always had is I hate actors. And I don't hate actors. I love actors. They're amazing. But like, I don't want to use actors.
Don't worry. I don't think you're going to get in trouble by saying you hate actors.
Yeah.
I think,
I don't want to use actors in my content. I struggle with that. And there's areas where I don't have a choice, and I gotta figure it out. But like, again, it lacks that authenticity. The consumer watching that content is kind of like, this isn't a real mortgage person. And this isn't even a real person. This is just somebody reading something, And so to me, that's like, but of course, using real people is very complicated. They're not as competent in acting or creating but it's where my head's at. If that speaks to anything towards authenticity, is like, how do we get real people having real conversations? Which so we're on the cusp of rolling out a brand new education platform here, which I'm very excited about, called Homeschool. And, Homeschool is designed as a multimedia approach to educate people with videos, articles, and podcasts that they don't get in school today. Like, we always joke, like, I wish someone would teach us to write, like, how to do our taxes in school. Like, we go to all these high level schools, paid lots of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we don't know how to do our taxes. It's just insane. So we have real loan officers interviewing financial planners and interviewing CPAs and interviewing appraisers and realtors, and asking real questions like, why would I use a CPA over TurboTax? And why would how does a financial planner get paid? And, do I need a trust if I'm going to buy a house, or, should I have a will? And these are real people asking real questions that I feel are going to connect to our consumer base, because no one's asking those questions. So I'm really excited about it.
Is this for younger kids, or is this for anybody, just for education?
Yeah. So a lot of that homeschool content is going to be cohort based. And when I say cohort based, it's kind of like where you're at in your particular walk. What is the best for you? And so for first-time homebuyers, that tends to be a younger demographic. And they're asking all those questions. So people that are in the first-time homebuyer cohort are really like, maybe they don't have a financial planner or a CPA. Maybe they don't understand what a realtor does and how a realtor get paid. And that's changing. Maybe they don't understand what an inspector does versus an appraiser. And do they need both? And what should they be looking for? So there's some base level stuff there. But as we kind of elevate up a little bit, and we start talking with financial planners about reverse mortgages or end of life strategies for their finances for your older adults or for yourself, now there's this whole, that's a very complex, nuanced conversation that somebody in that cohort would be much more interested in listening to than somebody who's a first-time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're blending it across the whole spectrum to find opportunities to meet people where they're at and give them the education they're looking for, or maybe they don't even know they don't know, and their decision points.
Are you worried that other mortgage companies are going to start copying this, or
Good.
Do you feel
great? I'm great. So, like, Elon Musk's a crazy person, right? Like, he's out of his mind, just doing crazy things. But one of the things that I absolutely love that he did early on was just opened all his trademarks up. He's like, I don't care. Like, you take my trade here. I'm not trademarking anything. Just copy it, use it. And in my mind, if the more education out there for people, the better decisions they'll make. And then the real companies that can execute will win more. The real authentic players will win more, and less consumers will get caught up in the trap. I mean, there's a reason why people think that, mortgage professionals are one tier up or the same tier as like used car ripoff artists. And it's because the consumer they're confused, and they're frustrated by the fact they're confused. And then they feel like they're getting ripped off all the time because they don't have the knowledge to ask the right questions.
Yep.
And so so we're just going to pull that all out. We're just going to rip it out.
Alec, you bring up a really good point. And because I don't think it's just the mortgage industry. I think it's sales in general. People don't want to be sold.
Yeah.
And I like your idea of let's educate. And then you put your face out there saying, get to know me, get to know the company. This is what we stand for. And then you guys make a decision if you want to get into a deep discussion about how we can help you. I love that.
100%, 1,000%.
So when you think of, and I'm interested in your point of view on reaching out to the consumer. We've got all this data. And that's what part of the podcast and that's what part of my company does is supply data. What do you think about what's the best way to personalize an experience for one of your either customers or someone that's interested in coming to loanDepot?
Well, obviously with great data, we can get very surgical, and we can give people information at the greatest moment when they need it the most. And doing that in a way that isn't disingenuous or that doesn't feel creepy. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room, right? Like, everyone knows Siri and Alexa are listening to us all the time. We joke about it. We're like, I said this, and then in my Instagram feed, like immediately I was fed an ad for this and I was freaked out. But like, that's coming, like that's here, like that's the modern world. Like, there are companies right now that can track you with Bluetooth and tell us when you're going into open houses. Like, so we're starting to learn more and more about what our customers are doing in real time. How do you use that appropriately to serve a customer the way they want to be served? Because there is a growing emergence of the modern consumer who just wants their life to be easier. And they don't actually mind that when they get in their car, it says it's 22 minutes to get to your location that you've been going to every single morning for the last week. And it's been tracking you and it knows. And there's people that actually don't mind that. They're like, that made my life a little bit easier now that I don't have to think about this, or this is being done for me or being served to me. I know people today that are intentionally liking and following ads on TikTok and Instagram because they want to get more ads about that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually like doubling down on it. It doesn't bother them. They're using it. And so in my opinion, data and access, and I think you have to pay attention. You get to know what customers are wanting and how they're acting. And then I think you need to serve them the way they want to be served. And you need to be listening, because if you screw up, you can pivot and change. And you should screw up. You should do something and mess up and realize that wasn't right and get it right the next time. But I think it's about making customers' lives easier. And if you as a consumer can get information that's useful and helpful at the time you need it to make a good decision, I mean, you're winning. Marketing's winning. Like, that's like, you're going to call that company and be thankful that they came at you and provided you what you needed when you needed it.
And that's, I think we have a presentation or a slide in our sales presentation deck. It's like, right customer, the right place at the right time, and
bang.
And that's the holy grail of what we're all marketers are trying to do. I don't think I could end on a better answer. So Alec, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. You've probably got 17 videos you have to record after this, but thanks for joining the podcast, Alec.
My pleasure, Tim.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Marketing Report. This show is brought to you by Verisk Marketing Solutions, an organization created to help CMOs and their partners improve the reach, timing, relevance, and compliance of every consumer engagement. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to The Marketing Report wherever you get your podcasts, and check out the show notes for more information.